Hey everyone, welcome to Bourbon Bites, whiskey reviews with a retro gaming twist. I'm Clifton, and these are the only 5 whiskeys you need. So if you're unaware of the Only 5 Whiskeys challenge, it basically started on Reddit and it's made its way across WhiskeyTube, finally landing on me. David and Kira from the Shelf Turds tagged me in this challenge. Go check out their video. They had some very peculiar selections.
Fireball.
But seriously, check them out. They are an awesome new channel. I really love their content, and I am so glad that they tagged me. So in this challenge, you pick 5 different whiskeys for 5 different occasions, and I got some pretty cool selections. Some of these you may have seen in other videos. Some of them may be new, so I'm excited for you guys to hear my 5 choices for the only whiskeys you need. So the first whiskey you need is, of course, a daily drinker. So we keep ours in a decanter like this, just to kind of up the pizzazz a little bit here in our home. But my choice for daily drinker has to go to Rebel Yell 100. This is actually only like a $15 bourbon. It's pretty available across most of the country. It's kind of harder to find out here in Southern California, but I've seen it all over the place when I travel. It is a step up from standard Rebel Yell. It's still made by Luxco, which at the moment they are sourcing from Heaven Hill. So if you like larceny, I recommend giving this a try. It's cheaper and it's higher proof. And what's one of these videos without tasting the bourbon? So we're going to go ahead and give some quick tasting notes. On the nose, there is a lot more oak than you would expect from a $15 bourbon, especially with a wheated bourbon, but it's still got that sweet vanilla carameliness that is typical of a wheater. On the palate, the proof really doesn't hit you, but I think in a daily drinker, that is a great thing because this may be your go-to, end of the work day, on the couch about to go to bed, just have one little sip. I think this hits the spot, but it doesn't overwhelm your palate, and it doesn't take a lot of investigating to get what you like from it. Overall, a really solid bourbon and absolutely gets my recommendation. Next, we have our mixer. Now, mixer can mean both mixing with Coke, mixing with lemonade, or for fancier whiskey cocktails like a Manhattan or an Old Fashioned. And my choice for best mixer goes to good old faithful Rittenhouse Rye. This bottled and bond 100 proof rye from Heaven Hill was one of the first whiskeys I actually bought, but I still keep a bottle on hand every time I want to make a Manhattan or an Old Fashioned. It holds up well with that 100 proof, and it won't offend people that may be a little averse to rye, because I know a lot of my cocktail people, they typically go, with a bourbon or a rye. This is right down the middle of the road. It's technically a rye, but what we call a barely legal rye. So it's about 51% rye as opposed to corn content. So let's go ahead and give it a little taste. On the palate, it's a lot more like a bourbon. It's got those sweet caramel notes that you can appreciate on a good budget bourbon, but it has a little bit of like a rye spice that makes it interesting and it actually a pretty decent sipper too. This bottle comes in at about $22 in my area, which makes it a perfect price for a mixer, whether you're making nicer cocktails or just a good old whiskey and Coke. So cheers, you guys. So next up is a whiskey that will impress your guests. Now, I know this is kind of a controversial one, but my choice for impress my guest whiskey has to go to good old Blanton's. So I interpreted this selection as impress your guests that may not be whiskey drinkers. You don't want to give your guests some barrel-proof, extremely expensive whiskey when they may be the type that's just going to pour shots of it and chug it. So I think Blanton's is a really good choice. It's only 93 proof. It comes in this sexy-ass bottle, and it's not that expensive depending on your area, disclaimer. But in my area, I was able to get a pack of 6 of these for about $55 each because it was like a package deal. But I really, really think it's a fantastic bourbon for impressing guests that may not like whiskey, but I guarantee you they're going to say this is one smooth whiskey because that's pretty much the extent of a lot of people's whiskey tasting notes. But just to not upset those of you that may have interpreted this as impress your whiskey friends, because let's be honest, a lot of my friends around here are whiskey friends. So my impress your whiskey friends selection is Redbreast 14-year-old small batch. Now this was a limited release that a few different stores got pics of. This is batch B for K&L Wine and Spirits. I guarantee you most whiskey drinkers probably have not had this, and even if there's someone that doesn't typically like an Irish whiskey, I think this is hands down best Irish whiskey I've ever had, and most whiskey drinkers, it will be completely new to them, and I think you're going to impress a few people with this if you can get it. If not, of course, Redbreast 12 cask strength is another option, but I think this is my impressed whiskey friend selection. So a little bonus. Technically, you still only need 5 whiskeys. It just depends who you hang around. Do you hang around most of the people that don't drink whiskey or people that appreciate a really good whiskey? So whiskey number 4 on the list is your Friday night pour. This is somewhat nice. It's something that you go to kind of get your weekend started or something just to take a load off after a long week. And those of you that know me, this will be no surprise. My Friday night bourbon is Knob Creek Single Barrel Store Picks. So this happens to be a store pick from K&L Wine Merchants, which is almost 15 years old. Now these aren't all 15 years old. They start at 9 years, but they can range up to 15. I have seen a 16-year one. These are pretty available, at least during certain times of the year, and I always stock up on them. I always have a bottle of Knob Creek in my house. It's kind of become a staple, and I am so ready to taste this knob. Don't quote me on that. On the nose, it is an oak bomb, but it's got a lot of those dark wood caramel sugars that come on a really well-aged bourbon. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. At 120 proof, it is the perfect bourbon to kick off your weekend. It is hot, can use a little water sometimes to help. It depends on your week. If you have a hard week, 120 proof doesn't affect you at all. But if you have a pretty chill week, add a little bit of water to it, ease into it. But overall, for $50 to $60, depending on your area, I think a Knob Creek store pick is the perfect Friday night bourbon. So the final bourbon on our list is our special occasion bourbon. Now, interpret special occasion as you will, but for me, special occasion can range anywhere from being a promotion at work, having friends over that really appreciate bourbon for the first time in a while, maybe the first meetup you have since quarantine. I think my special occasion bourbon at the moment, because this one always changes, has to go to Wild Turkey Master's Keep Bottle and Bond. First of all, it comes in a sexy ass box, not gonna lie. Just look at it, it's beautiful. So first of all, this is the most expensive whiskey I've ever bought, and I really don't regret it one bit. I seriously think this 17-year release from Wild Turkey is one of the best products I've ever tasted, let alone buy. It is 100 proof, of course, which is the bottle and bond requirement, but this whiskey packs a punch in so many more ways than the proof would let on. So I normally wouldn't consider this a special occasion, just sitting here recording a YouTube video, but when the occasion comes, am I right? Don't spill the whiskey. Oh yeah, this is Wild Turkey through and through on the nose. It's got the similar notes to a Russell's Reserve, but amped up to 17. So a special occasion calls for a cheers. So this cheers goes out to, first of all, David and Kira at Shelf Turds for tagging me, but also to all of my Bourbon Bites patrons over on Patreon. You guys make this possible. You make me able to grab a $160 to $170 bottle of bourbon, but most of all, you guys make me happy and you guys inspire me every single day. So cheers to you guys, and here's to my choice for special occasion whiskey. Even at 100 proof, this drink's just as elaborate and exciting as a cask strength whiskey. It travels from the sweetness when it hits your tongue to like a deep, dark, rich spice that carries through the palate and goes into an oakiness from that 17 years on the finish. This is a fabulous whiskey. I hope to hold on to this bottle for a long time, and I look forward to so many more Wild Turkey Master's Keep releases, because if they're anywhere as good as this one, I'm probably going to buy them all. So there you guys go. The only 5 whiskeys you need. You can have more, but if you have these 5, you are set. So thank you again, David and Kira at the Shelf Turds, for tagging me, but now comes my turn to tag someone else. So I am so thrilled to throw it over to Ed and Erica at Rock Gut Review. They are one of my favorite whiskey tube channels. Their comedy style is hilarious. Great couple with a very different palate, so I'm very excited to see each of their selections. I know they're going to be a bit different, but go check out their channel and hopefully see their video here soon. But with that, thank you all so much for watching. If you're new here, I do whiskey reviews and gaming videos, so if you're interested in the gaming stuff, go check out my Facebook gaming page. I'll put a link to it in the description. We also just launched a new Discord server for the channel where we do some hangouts, we do some tipsy gaming, all that kind of stuff. So if you like gaming and drinking, check out our Discord. I'll put it down in the description below. But until next time, this has been Bourbon Bites, whiskey reviews with a retro gaming twist. I'm Clifton, and I'll see you guys next video. Cheers!